by continuing to sleep with these women, you are exacerbating the problem. Unless you're
that would be contrary to hypergamy. They're actually stating the opposite, that most men cannot sleep with X amount of women. Most of them cannot. Most women can sleep with whatever guy they want. Most guys cannot sleep with whatever woman they want. The messaging that can come from Christianity only can cross this threshold and Rubicon with the red pill if we have an embrace of patriarchy. That's it. It's the only way.
Hey fam, welcome back to One and Done. I have an interesting video for you today. This is a debate between Andrew Wilson and Lauren Chen. Now they're going to be talking about red pill, religion, and marriage. Now I think Lauren is a conservative. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I'm not sure if she's a trad wife. I know she's married and I think she's a Christian, practicing Christian. Andrew Wilson also married with children and a practicing Christian. But what makes this conversation super interesting is that Lauren has some interesting thoughts on red pill and fresh and fit. Now, Andrew's not red pill, but he has certainly an interesting perspective and definitely clarified a few things for me. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Now, if you want to help a brother out, help us get to that 1,000 sub club. We're almost there. Hit the like, smash the subscribe, ring the notification bell, and let's roll that tape.
Okay, so let's talk about what the red pill is and what I view as the problems with red pill. So I view the red pill as kind of an offshoot or something that developed from maybe earlier MGTOW or manosphere types. So a lot of the complaints center around inequality before the courts and family law specifically benefiting women. I don't disagree there, but you mentioned yourself that they can be degenerate. And when I look at someone like the fresh and fit guys who do talk about, like, they encourage promiscuity among men, that's not something that I support.
Yeah, but again, this is a detailed problem with your worldview. So let me dive right into this as well. These are secularists, and these secularist men are trying to help secularist men. The Christians are supposed to be coming in with solutions to these issues, and what happens is, like you, they have actual contradictions inside of their worldview, so these guys don't want to listen to them. What you guys say is, oh, hey, just roll the dice, and hopefully you'll get lucky, and maybe you won't marry one of these horrible women. What is the actual Christian prescription? So then tell me, Lauren, what is the actual Christian prescription to hypergamy in society from women and mate selection? What is the actual solution that you have from a Christian ethic that you can give these guys that's better than what Fresh and Fit gives them?
I don't have a problem with hypergamy.
Yeah, that's not my question. My question is, if you believe in monogamy because you're a Christian, but women are not acting in a monogamous way inside society, which they're not, what is the prescription that you're going to give to men? There's not enough women to go around who are virtuous for the virtuous men. What prescription are you going to give to the secularists? Do you even have one? You don't have one, right?
Well, no, I think the solution is to do things like change family court, like absolutely change the law surrounding divorce. I think a lot of men, even if they are secularists, would feel better going into a marriage if they didn't think that there was such a good chance that they absolutely lose everything in the divorce. And I also think that you say that there's not enough good women to go around. I think that's true. And in my video talking about the women and the right, I believe a lot of this stems from a lack of leadership from men in the church. I think there should be a lot of churches, they prioritize gynocentrism, female sensibilities over actual male leadership. And I think that's a problem. And I think if we were to let the church
doesn't answer the question.
Now, if you look at Fresh and Fit, for instance, they have a worldview that is secular. They might have religious backgrounds, but they look at the worldview secularly. And what they do is they provide information about the way that the dating world works today. Now, I'm pro-family, I am pro-marriage. However, the laws today are geared towards divorce. The incentives are there for a woman to leave a marriage through no-fault divorce. Now, for a man today, this is a terrible contract. And if it was business, you would never walk into it. Now, even if you are in church, in some sort of religion, in particular Christianity, the divorce rates are still higher than you would want them to be.
What is the actual prescription that you can give to men right now who are facing down the barrel of marriage, right? Where you have a state contract in a secular in a secular way. These guys are speaking to secular men. You're the Christian who's trying to convert them. What's the actual prescription that you're going to give these guys when it comes to marriage? What is it, Lauren?
Well, I think you pointed out that any prescription when it comes to marriage, if you're talking to a secularist, should be to follow Christ, because anything less than that is not a marriage.
Oh, and they go, yeah, but I don't want to do that. What I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to, have sex with a bunch of hot chicks and then never tie myself down with the state. That makes a lot more sense. Can you actually tell me why that's illogical from a secular progressive state? I can't actually think of how it's illogical for a man who's a secularist to say, I don't want to get married in the current sphere. The women are not virtuous. And instead, I'm just going to go out and I'm going to have tons and tons of sex. And that's it. Why is that actually problematic from that stance? Doesn't it seem like it's good advice for fresh and...
If your problem with women is that too many of them have slept around, et cetera, then I don't think you need to be a Christian to recognize that by continuing to sleep with these women, you are exacerbating the problem. Unless that would be contrary to hypergamy.
Hypergamy is actually stating the opposite within the red pill, within the red pill thought process. They're actually stating the opposite, that most men cannot sleep with X amount of women. Most of them cannot. Most women can sleep with whatever guy they want. Most guys cannot sleep with whatever woman they want. So it would actually be the opposite within their sphere. So they're telling men, actually, you're probably not going to be able to do this thing. However, here's self-improvement you can do, which would improve your chances of mate selection and things like this. From a secular standpoint, how in the world could they possibly be wrong? What are you offering? This is the question. What are you offering from the Christian church, from the Christian perspective, to combat these ideas, Lauren? What are you actually showing them?
Exactly, because what's happened is they've moved away from the Bible and they've become tolerant of all sorts of different behaviors that are not consistent with what the teachings are. Now, how the hell is someone going to buy into something, particularly young men, when they can see the hypocrisy right before them? It says one thing in the Bible, but then they're preaching something else. No one's going to buy into that. They want to know how they can get successful today, how they can be successful in relationships, in partnerships. So what the red pill does is they give you the data, the information, the statistics. That's really all it is. And then it's up to people how they use that information for themselves. And there is an absolute imbalance when it comes to sexual activity between men and women. Women have access to sex far more easy than men. So there's statistics today going around saying that 33% of men between the ages of 18 and 30 are either virgins or haven't had sex in the last 12 months. Now that isn't a problem for women. And we're talking the younger generation here. And what Andrew is alluding to is the top percentage of men, whether it's the top, 5-10%, are attracting somewhere in between 60 and 80% of the women. Sexually, those women are sharing the same men. And because of hypergamy, these women are attracted to these men. Now, that is normal. There's nothing wrong with that. The difference today is that these women, instead of meeting maybe, 6 to a dozen suitors that they may have had an opportunity, say, from school to being a young adult to partner with, they literally are getting hundreds and even thousands of men from all over the place in their DMs, scrolling through their Instagram, their social media, and telling them exactly what they want to hear. So they get this inflated sense of value and attention. So your average girl next door is now getting DM'd by people from all over the place and everywhere, hundreds of people or even thousands. And this might upset people and get them triggered, but hey, it's just data, it's just information. And what podcasts like Fresh and Fit tell you is, for young men, get your game up, get your fitness up, get your finances up, make yourself more eligible, more value, more sought after. And young men are looking at church and religion and there's nothing there for them. Because in the Bible it says man, woman, child. But in reality today, that's not what they're preaching. It's like a team. It's far easier when you know what your role is in the team. You can put your shoulder to the wheel to do your part for the overall success of the team.
Well, once more, you talk about the fact that, they're offering self-improvement so that men can improve their chances for mate selection. I will maintain, if you are a man who believes that promiscuity amongst women, sleeping with men who they are not married to, is a problem, you cannot engage in that same behavior while complaining about the problem. You are exacerbating the problem.
Yeah, but most of those men are not exacerbating the problem. This is not a male problem. This would be a woman problem when it comes to hypergamy. If most of the women are sleeping with a select few men, how's that a man's issue? That would be a woman's issue. And again, you still have not answered the question from the church, from the Christian perspective. What would you do to solve that?
And that's a great point that Andrew brings up. Once again, you've got a majority of women sleeping with a minority of men. Now, women give access to sex, and they're giving that access to sex to a small minority of men. Now, the majority of men are actually missing out. Now, what these minority of men are doing, they're living it up and lapping it up. They're telling this majority of women exactly what they want to hear. The minority of men are getting what they want, and they're moving on. And they're leaving a lot of dissatisfied women because they think that they're going to be getting this long-term relationship, and they're not. Now, if you look closer at these minority of men and places like Fresh and Fit, whatever podcast, Pearly Things, they tell you all of these things. These men have categories for these women. They have a category for which ones they're taking serious for a relationship, marriage material, and then they have another basket for girls they just want to have fun with. Once again, it's just information. Don't get triggered. Take the information and use it. Whether you're this majority of women or you're the minority of men or vice versa. The data is there. It's there for you to look at. Move the way you want.
Well, I think what we need to do to solve that is when it comes to things like, sex outside of wedlock, as a church, we have fault, like the Christian church has failed in enforcing those moral standards. I mean, it's true. How many, if you think about like church singles groups or even just general services, how many of them talk about something like sex within marriage specifically? It's not a popular concept. It's not something that I think a lot of church leaders, quote, think is a winning topic. But because of that, even amongst people within the church, like that's a problem.
Okay. Well, here, I'll give you this solution because that's a non-solution. That's just literally prattle. You didn't say anything. Here's the actual solution.
I'll let you continue. But
go ahead.
What I've said there is that the church should absolutely be pushing to enforce those moral standards, preaching those moral standards.
Which church?
Christian churches, like the church is the body of Christ.
Yeah, but the problem is that within Protestantism, you have so many different denominations, so many of them which embrace feminism, LGBTQ, this type of thing. They have no unified message. Only the traditional churches, Orthodoxy and Catholicism, do. That's it. That's why the Muslims have become so popular where they're at when they're pushing traditional values. That's the reason why. So I can tell you how you can actually make a lifeline to these guys if you actually want to bring them over to your side. If you really want to understand how you can fix this problem, you fix the problem with a move to patriarchy. That's the thing red pillars will embrace, a move to patriarchal systems. That's what Christianity can offer to the secularists, which bring them over to our side, a move to patriarchy.
Damn, Andrew is absolutely spitting facts right there. He's absolutely right. That's why a lot of young men are attracted to becoming Muslim. It's a patriarchy. They have traditional roles. And Christianity used to have the same. I think Christianity has become way, way, way too tolerant. They've bent the rules so much. Well, not so much the rules. They have bent the message from the Bible to cater to the modern West, the degeneracy. They have to press the reset button and start again. They have to go back to those core values: God, man, woman, child, the natural order. No, that doesn't mean oppressing women. Men and women complement each other. And when they complement each other, their children learn to love, admire, and respect them. Now, there is a burden of performance on the man, on the male. You have to be the provider, the protector. You have to be an example to your wife and to your family. You have to be the man that your wife and partner can love, respect, and admire. Your children will see that, and in turn, they will love and respect you both. I don't think there's a better system known to mankind.
Because absent patriarchy, what has happened...
Churches need to embrace that.
Yeah, but they have no ecclesiastical authority. because there's no ecclesiology, they can't do it. Protestant churches can't do it. They don't have the necessary ecclesiology in order to move into a patriarchal system. They don't have any reference for marriage. They don't have any laws or bylaws regarding marriage. They have no laws or bylaws regarding anything, whereas the traditional churches do have that ecclesiastical authority. That's why the traditional Abrahamic religions do so well, and why Protestantism does not do so well. And so hang on, I'm almost done. When you're making the advocation for this, the reason that you have a pro-feminist stance without even knowing it is because if you want to solve the problem on the red pill side and the Christ pill side, the one unifier that you have is a patriarchal systems. They will agree with that, and you can move them out of that. But just telling them, oh no, just be monogamous, that doesn't do anything for them, because who are the women left? They get the leftovers to be monogamous with. That's what they get.
Now, patriarchy's become a F word. People get triggered by it. When they don't get triggered by it is places like in Ukraine, when wars break out. The women go one way and the men have to go straight ahead. Now, that's a difficult thing to do, but they still do it. Men are still willing to put their lives on the line. There's not much more you can ask for that, or ask than that, I should say. So that's when there's no problem with patriarchy.
All right. Well, I mean, when it comes to things like divorce within the Catholic Church, at least if we're going with nominal Catholics, it is still high, unfortunately.
Depends on the country. That's one. Yeah. And there's influencers which happen inside of Western nations, especially due to feminism. In Orthodoxy, the rates are very, very, very low. Also, Orthodoxy offers the ecclesiastical authority and the requisite to get married outside of the state. It's not a requirement because these are sacraments. These are messages which you can give to actual red pillars to move them over to Christ. What you can't tell them to do, though, is, hey, take the big risk and the big gamble because Jesus would really like it if you did. That's insane messaging.
That's not my position, by the way, to take the risk and the gamble, to just roll the dice. I absolutely don't think that's a good idea for men to do. And I think that there are definitely things that you can do that would reduce your likelihood of getting divorced. I don't think you should just roll the dice. Absolutely not.
Well, then what is your prescription other than a move to patriarchy?
I don't think a move to patriarchy is not part of that answer. Again, I said that even in regard to the church, but I also think that there are certain mate selections that you can do that do have a statistical likelihood at reducing your chances of divorce, right? Socioeconomic status of married couples has an outcome. It affects your likeliness of divorce.
Yeah, but it also affects the outcome of you having children because you have them later in life because of family planning. And so what ends up happening is it's the poor and the downtrodden and those who reject materialism who are going to inherit the earth because they're the only ones who are breeding. It's actually bad advice to tell people to wait until later in life to get married because you're going to destroy the chance of them having more children.
I'm not telling people to wait later in life to get married, but I think there's sometimes the willingness to believe that there is one likelihood of divorce and that it's a roll of the dice no matter what the circumstances are, which is patently not true. And there's a big differential, even if you look at between different races of the likelihood of divorce. The black divorce rate, I think,
that's because different races embrace different types of ecclesiastical authority inside of their churches. Namely, some of them have none. And that's why when the church effectively had some sort of body to it inside of black communities, you did not see these divorce rates nearly as high because they had a more traditional foundation for what it was that they were going for. That's all destroyed. But when you're talking about the entailment of what you just said, though, of, hey, your likelihood for divorce drastically is going to reduce if you have, these different socioeconomic statuses. An entailment of that is going to be that they wait till later to get married. That, in turn, is going to cause us to have less children, which exacerbates the birth rate crisis. These, again, not a great position.
Yeah, it's funny. There's many things that can come out of that, just that portion of conversation there. It is the poorer people that are having more children. And sort of just to get off topic a little bit, this is why I don't believe in, mass migration of people coming from poor countries to more wealthy countries. Now, why give them the fish when you can teach them how to fish? They should stay in their own country because it ain't going to solve the problem in their country. If they move to a more wealthy country, how does that help the country back home? Because when they come to a more wealthy country, they're going to have less children, but the people back home are having more and more children. So there's more and more people in poverty. And that's why I believe everything starts in the home. Father, mother, child. Look after your own home first, your own country. So for example, America first, and then help other countries improve what they have where they are. Meet them where they are and help them move up from there. But yes, the government make a terrible marriage partner. They make terrible parents. They make terrible accountants, business operators. They are terrible. They don't have any checks and balances. Everything starts at home. Now, to give your child the best start, it's best to have a two-parent household. And that's why I believe in marriage. But it is a bad deal and a bad contract for young men these days. Well, it's been bad for quite some time. Now, because these minority of men that are very sexually active, they have a buffet of women throwing themselves at them for free. They don't have to commit. Why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free?
Well, the thing is, when people look at the likelihood of divorce dropping, we're basically talking about IQ here, and bell curve talks about this. Your likelihood of getting divorced is greatly higher if your IQ is lower, and socioeconomic status is kind of like it represents that. And so, if you are a man, absolutely trying to find a woman who is not low IQ, therefore has better impulse control, it is going to reduce your likelihood of getting a divorce. Now, does that simultaneously mean that you have to wait until you're 30 to get married and maybe 35 to have kids? No, I think those are two different things.
The high IQ people are not having children.
Mistake.
Yeah, which is a problem, and I want them to have children.
Yeah, but if you want them to have children, then you have to embrace patriarchy, because we want the smart mothers to stay at home and raise their children. We don't want them in the workforce literally frying their brains on behalf of their boss. We want the really high IQ women. We want the really high IQ women at home raising children to make the next generation of high IQ children. Otherwise, they're wasted. They're wasted in the marketplace. Move to patriarchy is the only answer to this. That's the only way that this can actually be done in a structured way. You can't incentivize them with money. There's no way to incentivize people with money to have children. The poorest among us are the ones who have the children now. So financial incentives are not going to work for this.
I've long said the idea that the reason why women aren't having children is because of cost is ridiculous. And it's not just the poor in this country who have more children than the rich, but also if we look at a global scale, the places where there's the least economic development, they tend to have the most. It is absolutely a choice that people are making. Now, does that simultaneously mean that I don't think concerns over affordability are, we shouldn't talk about them? No, but I don't think that is the core issue of why
that's a materialist position. It's a materialist position. You having a family should not have anything to do with materialism. It should have to do with the relationship and the sacrament between yourself and Jesus Christ, and the submission of your wife to your patriarchal authority and your ability to raise children, even in meager settings. Some of the best people come out of the worst poverty situations. It's not a bar for having a family.
Facts.
The messaging that can come from Christianity only can cross this threshold and Rubicon with the red pill if we have an embrace of patriarchy. That's it. It's the only way. I still haven't actually heard any descriptors of the red pill that you disagree with. What are they?
And that was a very interesting conversation and debate. Now, Andrew Wilson's not red pill. He is a Christian. But there are some similarities between, say, Christian beliefs, original Christian beliefs, and red pill. The Bible provides you the information, and many people interpret it the way that they see fit. Some people have made an absolute meal of it. Some people have done much better with it, just like red pill. Some have got the information they need to make themselves better person, better people, and to move in the right way. And some people have used that information to take advantage of it. But that's where I'm going to leave this video. Now drop your thoughts and comments in the comment section. As usual, I'll jump in there and respond. Now, if you like this video, I will be doing a part 2. And if you want to help a brother out, help me get to that 1,000 sub club. We're almost there. Don't forget to hit the like, smash the subscribe, ring the notification bell, and I'll catch you in the next video.